Welcome back. Welcome back. Come on in. Come on in. Welcome. My name is Monique. I'm a life coach, and I teach women how to take responsibility for their happiness, success, and freedom. You all come on in. I just got another quick message today. You see, I've been vibing high with these messages today. Come on in. Let's talk a little bit. I'm headed to the Dollar Tree. So I say, you know what, let me share this message. Come on in. Listen. Stop believing that you're insecure. You're not insecure. You know the meaning. I looked up the definition of insecure. Definition when it comes to people. It just means insecure means that you're not confident, that you're unstable, that you're not fixed, that you're unsure. You are all of those things. Because if you were not all of those things, if you were not confident, a person would not be trying to make you feel like you're insecure. You know, I mentioned this in my earlier video, and I just wanted to come talk about it just on its own. You ever had people come around you, right? They come around you. Oh, you looking good. You smelling good. You just feeling yourself. You know you look good. You feel good from within. And then they'll come around you and say, oh, I don't like that on you. Or if I were you, I wouldn't wear that. Or just try to bring your energy down. Try to bring that security down in you. Because they know you are confident. They know you are secure within yourself. This is when you know that a person is trying to make you feel insecure. They want to, jab at your confidence. Yes, she reigns. Say all kind of foolishness. They'll say anything because they want to bring down your security, your confidence. You're not insecure. They want to make you feel insecure. You know who you are. You know who you are. You know what you're capable of. You know what you could do. I know what I can do. I know that I can do a lot of things because I believe that God is with me and I believe that he'll see me through. I've had people to try to make me feel insecure. They wanted me to doubt myself because I believed in myself. I believed that I could overcome. I was a first generation college graduate out of my mama's children. My mother has 9 children. I was a first generation college graduate. And I felt good about that. I felt good because I broke a generation curse when my mother and father did not finish high school, when my grandparents only finished 3rd grade. And the enemy wanted me to be quiet about that. The enemy didn't want me to verbalize that. The enemy didn't want me to be happy. That is something to be happy for. No, I don't have to operate in pride. The enemy tried to make me feel like I was being prideful because I was celebrating the fact that my grandmother didn't do it. My mother and dad didn't do it. But I had one grandmother, my dad's mom. She believed in me. She didn't have no money. She just knew. She just used to tell me, baby, you got to finish school. That's all she knew because she only had a 3rd grade education. So I believe that. I believe that education was important. And I went for it. And I did it. And I did it because I believed in myself. And I knew that she wanted to go to school, but she couldn't go to school. She couldn't go. She had to go and work. That's why I say some of y'all have to give your grandparents and parents grace because they only could do what they could do. You can't sit there and be mad at your parents and grandparents because they only could go so far. That's why you have 2 legs. That's why you're the chosen one. That's why you're the forerunner. That's why you're on this channel because you're the one supposed to run further. You're supposed to run farther than your grandparents ran, than your mom ran. I want my children to run farther than me. educational wise, life wise. But I'm secure in myself. And people, they want me to be secure about that. They wanted me to be quiet about that. As if I'm bragging. No, that's not bragging. That's something to celebrate. Something to celebrate. Because you did so. And this is another thing. When you know you're breaking a generational curse, let me tell you something. I knew I was breaking a generational curse, but I didn't know I was breaking it then because I didn't understand warfare and I didn't understand being the first to do something, right? I knew I was breaking a generational curse when I experienced warfare. I didn't understand it then, but when I look back on it, I knew the reason I was going through so much emotional turmoil. I was experiencing so much from people, and I was experiencing so much from those who so-called loved me and cared for me and supposed to be in my corner when I was going through grad school. I experienced that because I was getting ready to break a generational curse. Whenever you're the first to do something, and I heard this guy's message, this guy from Africa, I don't know his name, but he's well known. I don't know his name, and I didn't listen to his entire message, but it was one part in his message that said, whenever you're the first to do something, you better be ready for that warfare. Oh, you better be ready for that warfare. You better understand what you're getting yourself into. That's just like the firstborn. The firstborn is going to go through a lot because they're supposed to be the promised child. And if they don't fight to break them generational curses that's on the bloodline, they're going to experience all HE double hockey stick. They're going to experience all type of turmoil if a person is not there educating them, telling them what they're going to experience and how to fight it. If you don't have a person who understands breaking generational curses, who understands spiritual warfare, you'll think you're going crazy if you're the first to do something. If you're the first to buy a house, if you're the first to graduate from college, if you're the first to get married, if you're the first to do anything you're the first to do in your family, if you're the first to start eating right, if you're the first to start looking into nutrition and you want to build wealth, if you're the first to do any of that, oh, you best believe you're going to experience HE double hockey stick. But you have to be strong enough to fight. And this is why I say you're not insecure. You have to be strong enough to fight them curses. You have to be strong enough to keep going. Because if you're not strong enough to keep going, you're going to affect your children. You're going to affect those coming behind you. You got she reigns is not you. It's just, it's just that covenant. It's still spiritual, whether you believe in God or not. It's still that spiritual covenant. The firstborn is the one that's supposed to carry the blessing. And whatever that firstborn do, and if everybody else don't, if they follow, because the firstborn is going to be the one, supposed to be the one that takes the family to the next level. But either the firstborn is going to be made or they're going to be broken. Either they're going to be made or they're going to let the pressure break them. Because, see, a lot of y'all think, especially if y'all got children, a lot of y'all think that, because I've experienced it, a lot of y'all think that what your children is going through is something caused by you. You part of the problem, but no, that's coming from the bloodline. That's coming from the bloodline. If that firstborn don't get it right, just look at the bloodline. See, you'll see what you're fighting in the bloodline. If it's a girl, look at the bloodline and look at all the firstborn girls, women in your family. If it's a boy, look at the bloodline and look at all of the firstborn men in the bloodline. See what they're doing. See what they're doing and compare it to what your firstborn is doing. Look at the bloodline. I don't know why I'm getting on this. I suppose we talk about insecurity. Insecure. I guess it ties in. But look at the bloodline. Look at all the firstborns. And tell me what you see in your bloodline. Tell me how the men are acting in the bloodline. Not only that, I'll go further. Not just the firstborn. Go to all of the men in the family. All of the women. Come on now. But if you're not connected and spiritual, you won't even think about it. You won't even care. But you have to care so you can know what you're dealing with. Know what you're fighting with. Know what you can tell your children. Because we just be going as if, my son asked me the other day, and he's innocent. And see, when I was growing up, we would get shut down for this, right? I'm being vulnerable with you all. We would get shut down or slapped in the mouth because my son wanted to know. He wanted to know about my siblings, about my dad, my siblings. And I told him, I said, all of us have different dads. It's 9 of us. We all got different dads. I said, half of us don't know who our fathers are. My mother had 9 children. I'm being vulnerable with you all. I never shared anything like this, but I feel I need to share it. But my son is so innocent, he don't know. He said, oh, she had a lot of husbands. My baby was like, oh, your mama had a lot of my grandma had a lot of husbands. He's thinking that you got to be married because he don't know. And we be thinking these children know. We be thinking our families know when we don't share what's going on in the generation, in the bloodline. I'm being honest with y'all. Because I tell y'all, my mom, she was an addict. So when you have those type of behaviors and you dealing with stuff in the bloodline, you can't keep that. You can't not talk about that stuff. You got to share so these children know what they're dealing with. I try not to hide things from my children, despite of what people say and despite of what people tried to pretend, because I knew how I grew up. And I didn't want my children to say, oh, my mama didn't talk to me about that. But you will have people, and I'm being transparent, you will have people to use your children against you. Because you're so transparent. You're so transparent because these kids are not going to know what they're battling with. Just like I didn't know what I was battling with. This had to be revealed to me spiritually, what I was dealing with. And thank God I could say I never touched a drug in my life. And I saw both my mom and dad smoke, buy crack cocaine. Never touched a drug. And that's the grace of God. Nothing to do with me. That's just God's grace. That's God's grace. And I tried to, I talked to my kids and, tried to tell them what drugs will do to you. How would it affect you? But sometimes, regardless of if you tell your children, sometimes they'll go and do the very thing that you taught them not to do. And you have to say, you know what? I did my part. I did my part. Because the devil will get in your children. And they'll make you feel like you didn't teach them nothing because they don't want, because see, when God has a call on your life, he will use those close to you. But see, you got to understand what you're doing. See, what'll happen is the enemy will use your children against you because he knows those children are close to you. Those children are your heart. Because see, I grew up without my mom there. I grew up with, feeling rejected and abandoned because she was an addict. And it wasn't her that she wanted to reject and abandon me, and I was younger. It was that she was addicted. And you grow up trying to teach your children and want to be close to your children, and people see that. I grew up me and my children, we had good relationships. All of my children, we had good relationships, right? I have 4. But, people see that how you react, how you act with your children. They'll see how you interact. And, you have certain people that come in and they want to mess that up because they don't have the love and care that you have. They don't have the strength that you have, and they get jealous of that. They get jealous. Right? See, I had to get to a place, when it came to my son. I talk about this, quite often. I had to get to a place with my son to realize this not about me. This is bigger than me. So instead of getting angry and upset at my son, right? Instead of getting angry and upset with him, I had to learn to release him. I had to learn to release him to God, because God is the only one that will be able to transform his mind and his spirit. I had to continue to pray for him because, he got people around him that have polluted his mind, and he had an issue with his mom. Whatever issue was, I really don't know. He never talked to me about it. But he wanted me to try to pry whatever issue he had with me out of him. And he couldn't. When I did want to talk to him at one time, he couldn't tell me what I did, because I'm a person. I humbly apologize. But he know I have certain standards and boundaries. He know that. We ain't gonna get on the story. Go a few videos back, because I don't want to make it about that. Go a few videos back and you are here, But once you have done your part, you've released people, right? When you release people, that's when you can move on. But what I had to learn was this wasn't about me. This was bigger than me. This was a bloodline issue that I'm dealing with. It's not just, me dealing with my son issue. This was a bloodline problem that I'm dealing with. That's why I was able to release him. Yes, she reigns. I was able to release him. As I still grapple and try to understand, I was able to. And not be worried. Right? Not be worried and concerned. Because he's on his journey too. He's on his journey. Oh, it hurt. Oh, it definitely hurts. She reigns. I'm not going to sit here and act as if I'm invincible. Listen, I won't tell that lie. That's the most pain you can feel. That's like somebody stab you slow. And the side of your neck just stabbing you just slowly. Oh, it definitely hurts. It definitely does. But you got to just still trust God in the pain. And what I've learned to do, exactly. That's okay though, Plain Jane, because the enemy could use these children. The enemy could use them if they're not strong spiritually and they're not trying to get to know God, how you know God, and you can see the spiritual war behind this stuff. They're not going to understand. That's why you have to pray for them. You have to pray for them. Then they got people influencing them. He had a lot of demonic folks around him that was influencing him too. He had a lot of demonic, supposed to be people who love him, that influenced him. Yes, you got to do tough love too. That influenced him against me, as if I'm the enemy. Exactly, he do, because he used them, the ones. Yes, he used the children that refuse to have a relationship with God because they don't like authority. They don't like authority. They don't want to be under authority. They don't want to be submitted. They want to do what they want to do. They want to do what they want to do. They don't want to live a righteous life. They don't want to try to do what's right. Regardless of, you could take the horse to the water, but you can't make them drink it. Regardless of how you feeling. Regardless of how you feeling about whatever situation. Hey, JR, regardless, you can take them, and you got to remember too, just like we had to see, the thing that I remember, that the thing that God reminded me of, let me tell you what he reminded me of. And this is how I can release my children, and I give them space as a mother. I give them space to make their, learn and make their decisions. Hopefully they don't make decisions that's going to be to the detriment of them, to the death of them. Right? I had to be reminded that I once was a teenager. I once was a young adult that didn't make right decisions. I'm not coming on here talking to you from a person, from a perspective of being perfect. Oh no, I've been through my own things. That's how I'm able to talk. That's why y'all feel this passion. And y'all can feel that I'm real and relatable, because I've been through my own things. I've been through my own things. I've been through a lot. More than what I look like. It don't look like I've been through a lot. But guess what? Guess what? I wouldn't trade it for the world. I wouldn't go back and undo nothing. I wouldn't go back and undo anything, because it made me stronger. What I've been through, it made me a stronger person. It made me, it made me tough. It made me resilient. It gave me a resilience I don't think going through nothing would have gave me. Going through anything, it gave me a resilience. I just don't give up. I don't give up easily. Now, what I have learned, loyalty is one of them things that I had to learn, to not be loyal to the wrong things and people. Because see, when you've been through a lot and you've been abused, you become loyal to a point that it kills you. It damages you, because you're trying to be loyal to a person who's not loyal to you. You're loyal to dysfunction. I was so loyal to dysfunction. Sometimes, GD, that's what, if you got to listen to your spirit. You have to listen to your spirit. Sometimes God is moving you to another state. He wants you to leave, because you're probably too invested. You're probably too invested in your parents' dysfunction. I tell you, I don't regret nothing. I wouldn't want to go back and undo nothing, anything. Hey, Jacqueline, yes, I'm back, honey. I wouldn't want to go undo anything. Oh, I understand that, GD. Guess what? That means you need to start setting boundaries. You have no healthy boundaries. You can still love your parents. You still have to honor and love them, but you don't have to let them spill their toxicity onto you. You don't. You're not obligated. You're not obligated to let people dump and abuse you. You're not obligated to let your family abuse you, your children. Because some of y'all got children. Some of y'all on here got children that think you owe them. They're entitled. They're entitled. And vice versa. Some of y'all parents think your children owe you. Don't be a garbage can to them, GD. Be honest. Even if they get mad, let them get mad. You put up boundaries. You tell them exactly how you feel. Be honest with them. Don't have them speculate. Don't have them guessing. Be honest. Let them know, mama, daddy, y'all got to work out y'all issues. Don't put me in the middle of y'all stuff. I don't want to take sides. I'm not, see, one thing about toxic people, let me tell you something. Whether it's mom and daddy, brother, sister, cousins, any co-workers, one thing about very demonic people, they want to take away your freedom of choice. And your freedom of choice is you deciding whether or not you still want somebody in your life. You deciding if I want to keep my mom in my life, if I want to keep my dad in my life, if I want to keep my brother in my life, if I want to keep my sister in my life. They want to take away that choice of freedom, or of that choice to subscribe. I mean, I'm looking at Plain Jane, subscribe. Thank you, dear. They want to take away your choice to choose. They want you to choose the side of whomever. I'm not trying to say you have to, but a toxic person wants you to choose their side. They don't want you to be okay with both people and having firm boundaries, saying, you know what? I know you and mom, or I know you and dad having this issue. Y'all problem is your problem. I love you all both. I love you both equally. And I would prefer, and I want, not prefer, I want you all to not talk about each other to me. Because I don't want to have to choose one over the other, because believe it or not, I don't care what folks say. If you talk negatively enough about the other parent, that child is going to go against that parent. If you're always lying about the other parent did this, the other parent did that, you're going to side with the person who's always talking about that parent. If you don't have a strong mind, if you can't think for yourself, you are going to. Yes, you are. If you got a child, if you co-parenting, and every time your children go with your husband, every time your children go with your wife or the other parent, the parent, the dad or mom, and all they do, and people do this too, they'll throw these little hints out. You know how your mama is. I had somebody do that. I had my children's grandmother did my son like that. She used to do with my oldest son. That's not something you do. That's not something you do. She used to say, you know how your parents are. And we were not abusing my son. We were not doing anything. We just was setting boundaries and rules with him. But what people will do is they want you to choose sides. They want you to choose sides. They don't know how to be cordial and have things just go smoothly. You know how your mom is. You know she don't like this. You know she don't approve of that. You know how your daddy is. Your daddy this, your daddy that. He got this other girlfriend. They are trying to get. Yes, they're trying to get them kids to look at you as the bad parent. As the one that's crazy. Oh, you know your mama crazy. You know she got issues. You know she had that childhood, everything always look bad for you. I don't know why I'm getting on this, but we're going to talk about it. Everything will always look bad on you. Everything always look bad. You the bad parent. Yes, Jacqueline, boundaries are important, dear. Everything is your fault. When you got toxic people who want to make you look bad because they can't have their way, or you don't do things how they think you should go. When you dealing with these demonic folks, that's what they'll do. Hello, Sophia. I hope you're doing well, dear, because you're trying to get my attention. They will try to get folks to see you as the evil one. Nothing they do, they won't focus on them. Yes, they don't focus on what they're doing. They won't go back and look at their history. They won't go back and look at the foolishness they were in. Oh, everything is you. Focus on your fault. You the one. It's all you. You the one was wrong. You the reason they had to leave. You the reason that it didn't work out. You the reason everything. It's your fault. But over here on the responsibility channel, we take responsibility for our happiness, success, and freedom. We take accountability. We can own up to where we went wrong. You ever notice to these type of people, they can never own up. They'll never tell you in details where they was wrong. They'll just say they were wrong. But you could say where you went wrong. You can apologize for where you went wrong. You will try to make up for where you went wrong. Not them. Not these toxic folks. They will never apologize. But GD, don't get pulled into their stuff. They need to work that out. They need to go seek counseling and therapy. Don't get pulled into their issue. And that's what people like to do. They like to soak you in. I've learned to shut that mess down. If it doesn't have anything to do with my children that I'm taking care of, I don't need to know what's going on in people's life. If they don't tell me, I don't want to know. That means they don't want me to know. That means they don't want me to know. And I learned to be okay with that. I don't need to know what's going on in everybody's business and people business. I don't need to know what's going on. That makes my life so much easier because I'm not in the gossip. I'm not in the circle of what's going on and the dysfunction that's going on back and forth. I don't need to get my energy, and I'm okay with that. When you unsubscribe from people issues, your life may seem like it's boring. Your life may seem like it's boring. But no, baby, it's peaceful. It is peaceful. Get used to peace. That's what peace looks like. Peace looks like your phone not ringing. You're not getting all these negative gossiping text messages. And let me tell y'all something. Somebody need to hear this. Because I was about to get off here, but somebody need to hear this. Somebody need to hear this. Okay, just think about the people who so-called love you. I had to sit down and put this thing on a landscape. I had to view this. And I had to wake up and get some sense. Because, see, we're taught this toxic way of being. We're taught this toxic way of being. If a person can sit down and they can talk bad about you, as if a person could sit down with your child, whether it's the grandmother, the auntie, the daddy, anybody, if a person can sit in the company of your child and talk about you so bad to your child, they're not loyal to anybody. If a person can sit and talk about you or talk about your niece, if the auntie can sit and talk about the niece to another auntie, instead of going to that niece, they're not loyal to anybody. And when I say talk about, let's clarify. When I say talk about someone, I mean you having a problem with what that person is doing. You don't like their behavior. You're not talking to that person you have a problem with. You're talking to the other auntie about that person. They're not loyal to anybody. If you got a sister that can talk about another sibling, right? Because they don't like them. If you got a sibling that talk about another sibling that they don't like for whatever reason, and you can sit down and talk about that sibling, they're not loyal to anybody. We have to unlearn what we've been taught. If you got a child and you're talking about that child, not discussing, right? Because see, what people will do is they'll try to use your words and twist them. And what I mean by that, what I was going to say, if you got children and you talk about your other children, right? You talk about your other children or your child to your other children. When I mean talk about, I mean you talking about things you didn't discuss with them. You're being vindictive and nasty and jealous. They're not loyal to none of you. That parent is not loyal to any of them children. There's a difference between you talking about somebody and you discussing them. Because when you discuss them, you talk about, you say what you need to say while the person is there. That is a discussion. They're able to dialogue and they're able to stand up for themselves. When you're talking about somebody, you're talking about the person, and they are not there to defend themselves. They are not there to speak up for themselves. That's talking about somebody. But when you're discussing somebody, this is my definition. That person is there. Oh, they discussing. They're talking about me. They're discussing me. They're going to mention what they said while the person is there. Not sit and talk about folks. Instead of going, if you got a problem, I tell people, you got a problem with me, come to me. Come to me. If you got a problem with your niece, go to your niece. Don't come talk to your niece. Talk about your niece to me. Oh, no, this is another one. Hey, Matt. This is another video. But yes, you got people do this. If they are doing this, they're not loyal. They'll talk about you too. Don't think you're so special. Because see, people think they're special in folks' life. People think they are special in other folks' lives. We got to wake up. That's just like me. Let's put this in perspective. Let's put it in perspective. That's just like me, Keisha. Can I use you for an example? I'm gonna use you for an example, Keisha. That's just like me. You know, I got my family here. I'm gonna use us, my family, my membership family. I got Tyrinia, Nikiana, Matt, Keisha. This is my membership family. So I'm gonna use the membership family. We brothers and sisters, right? We're brothers and sisters in the spirit. Just say we were natural brothers and sisters. And I'm over there with Nikiana talking about Tyrinia and what she said that I didn't like. Instead of going to Tyrinia, I go to Keisha. Now that puts Keisha in some negative type energy because Keisha know I got an issue with Tyrinia, my sibling. Keisha don't know if my issue with Tyrinia is true or not. But she can feel that energy now. She can feel that energy with my other sibling. Because I've been talking about her. We haven't been discussing the issue. I've been talking about her. Right? This is just an example. So now, when Keisha go around me and Tyrenia, the energy is off. Energy all whacked off. Yes, the energy is off now. And you can feel it just going off in the spirit. Don't know what to say. Can't say nothing. They're not loyal. They're not loyal to you. They're not loyal to the other person. That's not loyalty. I'm in a place in my life where we got to get past you talking about people instead of having a discussion. Whatever your problem is, you go to that person. Go to that person. Tell them what you don't like. Don't sit and start a rumor mill in the family and you don't add it, your little flavor, your little seasoning to it. It don't went from something simple to now this big old thing. To now this big old thing. From simple to something that don't blew up. All because you don't want to have a discussion. And everybody in their assumptions, everybody don't assume what they think is right. And none of it is right. But you think they're going to be loyal to you? I look at stuff like that. That's a turnoff for me. A turnoff to always be contentious. Soon as somebody walk off or walk away, now that person is the topic of discussion. No, I'll be walking away from that stuff. But that's what I want to come talk to you all about. I started out talking about security. Started talking about you're not insecure, but I don't know why I got on that. That was for somebody. For somebody. Be confident and secure. Life gets hard. It does. Life gets hard. And I'm not sitting here saying I got it all together. The only thing I know I got together. Nobody can take this away from me. This is what I know. I stand 10 toes down. If I had 9 toes, I'd still be standing on 10 when it comes to this. Listen, I know it's time for me to go because I don't start acting silly. If I only had 9 toes, I'd still be standing on 10. When it comes to encouragement and motivation, that's in me. It always has been in me. It always has been in me. Even when I was in my worst condition, in my worst states, I still got an encouraging word to give somebody else. I remember one time, years ago, I was behind on my rent. I could have been evicted. I'm getting personal now. I could have been kicked out on the streets years ago. And I still had a word for somebody else. Still encouraging somebody else in their finances. In their finances. Oh, I got a message about Coach Prime, Keisha. Girl, I got that in my little, that's my next message. I had to write that down. I still had an encouraging word. When I was down and not myself. It's in me. This ain't nothing that just happened overnight. I've always been that way. Always been that way. I had to get vulnerable with you all to let you know this real. This is real. I'm not ashamed. I'm not ashamed of it. But a person would never know. Because what I had to learn was everything that I've experienced, everything that I've gone through, the mistakes that I've made, the situations I've put myself in, there was a lesson in all of that. And my goal now is to get the lesson. Get the lesson and turn it into a blessing. A blessing. Learn the lesson to be a blessing. And that's what I'm doing. That's why I'm sharing my story. Me coming here, talking to you all, sharing my being vulnerable will help somebody else. Because folks just sometimes want to feel like they're not the only one. They want to feel like they're not the only one. And see, sometimes we hide behind our image. I never had that problem either. I never allowed, I never allowed, see, okay, Lord. I never allowed my image to get in the way of what God wanted to use it for. I never allowed, I could say I never, how to say it? I never been ashamed, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. I've never been afraid. This is what the enemy tried to take from me right here. And this revelation, I ain't even know this. I've never been afraid, right? I'm secure. I'm confident. I'm confident in my mess. I've never been afraid to be vulnerable. Even before I had my awakening, I just never been afraid to be vulnerable. And the enemy wanted to sap that, because that's confidence. I'm confident in my vulnerability. And he didn't want me to be confident in my vulnerability. He didn't want me to be confident, because most people hide certain things that they've gone through. And no, you don't supposed to overshare. Everything is not for the world. No, everything is not for the world. Sometimes you got to be quiet. There's a lot of things I would not say on here. But for teaching points, and when God said you got to say it, I got to say it. But the enemy wanted to steal that from me. He wanted to take that, because I'm comfortable and confident in my vulnerability. My vulnerability won't have me going with my head down and my tail tucked between my legs, because I know it's strength. It is strength in me being vulnerable. There is strength in overcoming what I've gone through. There is power for me. Like they say, God will take the foolish things of this world. The foolish things, what people think is shameful, to me, it's power. To me, it's power. So I wanted to come tell and share that with you all. So y'all have a good evening. Thank you all for coming, listening in with me. I didn't know I was going to be here this long, but I got the message out. And you all be blessed. You all be blessed. Thank you all for tuning in. Keisha, my fam, Tyrenia, Nikiana, Jacqueline, Kiosha, Matt, thank you all. Who else is here? Who commented? GD, thank you for sharing your story with me. Rubia, welcome back. Tanya Harvey. Just stay strong, Tanya. You got it, dear. Who else? JR, my fam. I hope all is well with you, JR. Plain Jane. Thank you all for coming in, listening. She Reigns. Thank you all. and Michelle. Who was it? I get everyone? I appreciate you all coming in, listening with me. Yo Q Boy, I think that's the name. Hello. Yeah, thank you all for coming in on my live with me. So, but I'm gonna come back and do that, that Coach Prime message, Keisha, that I have. I just have to go to my notes because I got a download when I was, getting ready to go get my daughter. And I was looking at one of his conferences, and I really got a whole message around that. I love Coach Prime. Look, I never liked football like that, but I'll never forget when I was a child. I think Coach Prime was playing for the 49ers. I want to say that was years ago. I didn't like football like that. But to see how dominant and awesome he was, and I think to his cockiness, back then when he was younger, I ain't gonna say cockiness, I call it confidence. He was confident because people called it cockiness. But he was confident, and I was drawn to that. Greatness is always drawn to greatness. He was the reason that I started even paying attention to football. He was the reason. And what I noticed about Coach Prime, I'm gonna say this message. I'm gonna say this for my message that I got. But anyways, you all be blessed, and I'll talk to you all later. Okay? Bye-bye.